I never imagined that my calm and quiet life at Wilkins & Co. would crumble in a matter of weeks. My name is Sarah Thompson. I am 30 years old, and I have carved out a reliable niche in the marketing department of our firm. With my strategic mind and an eye for detail, I had managed to climb the corporate ladder, gaining the respect of my colleagues and the admiration of my superiors. But even in my seemingly perfect job, there was a constant undercurrent of tension. The office was a battleground, every day waking up to the pressure of office politics and competition. My peers either viewed me as a rival or a stepping stone on their path to success. And that was fine. I told myself I was there to work, not to make friends. My best friend, Julia, a bubbly presence in my otherwise routine life, seemed oblivious to the coldness surrounding our corporate home. She always made the effort to light my spirits with lunches and coffee breaks, but she was also entangled in her ambition. Little did I know our friendship would be tested in the most excruciating way. One rainy afternoon, I received an unexpected email. It was a notification for an executive meeting that I wasn't invited to. My heart raced as I opened the invitation. It contained news that we were going to have a new vice president, a veteran from another firm, Daniel Cross. I had heard whispers about him, a shark who would stop at nothing to climb to the top. I shrugged off the pit forming in my stomach, telling myself that as long as I kept my head down, I would keep my position secure. However, I soon learned that stability was an illusion. Daniel arrived, and within days completely altered the atmosphere at Wilkins. He strutted the halls with an arrogant air, treating the employees like they were dispensable tools. He quickly zeroed in on my work, praising my presentations while secretly undermining my efforts. I overheard him boasting to the higher-ups about his plans to restructure the department, saying he needed to purge the dead weight to fuel his vision. The dead weight was meant to be me and anyone else he deemed a threat. I found my research proposals inexplicably rejected, my ideas hijacked and presented as his own, and I realized I had inadvertently become his target. Tensions escalated, and I felt trapped inside the walls that I had once viewed as a sanctuary. My heart ached knowing I was portrayed as inadequate at the very place where I had poured my ambition and dreams. I shared my fears with Julia, but she seemed to brush off my concerns. "You're overreacting, Sarah. Your work is solid. You'll be fine," she said, her voice laced with encouragement. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something ominous was brewing, and I had no control over it. Weeks passed, and the chaos in our office intensified. I started to notice whispers, glances exchanged when I passed by. My colleagues began distancing from me, seemingly pulled into Daniel's orbit of influence. Even Julia grew distant, aligning herself with the new VP shamelessly. It hurt more than I could express. I was losing not only my stability but the support of those closest to me. Then came the ultimate betrayal. After a grueling week of extended hours, I submitted a polished proposal for a marketing campaign that could have changed everything for our brand. I anticipated positive feedback, but instead, I was blindsided during a team meeting where Daniel stood before the entire office, ripping my hard work to shreds. "This is why we need fresh ideas, folks," he said with a slick smile, right before revealing his own version of my campaign, crafted under the guise of collaboration with Julia. My heart sank as I watched her beam beside him, exchanging smug glances. It felt like the ground beneath me shattered. I slumped back in my chair, my world collapsing. The laughter around me faded as I fought the urge to scream. I had been thwarted by both my boss and my best friend. I left the meeting blindly, tears welling up in my eyes, the abyss of despair swallowing my spirit whole. That night, I returned home, exhausted and demoralized. I did not sleep. Thoughts swirled around in my mind, making sense of the loss, the betrayal, the regret. I could just give up work here, run away from the fumes of despair, but I wanted more than simply to walk away. The tiny flame of anger flickered inside me. Revenge bubbled up like boiling tar as I realized giving up meant allowing them to win. I would not be a silent victim. My resolve solidified. I began to plan. The next morning, I walked into work with new determination. I took stock of my colleagues' sentiments, carefully observing those who were not fully under Daniel's thumb. Slowly, whispers of my revival began to circulate. I reached out to some who were dissatisfied with the new regime and started subtly recruiting them for my cause. By forging alliances and gathering support, I devised a plan. With my marketing expertise, I would create a backlash campaign, one that would unveil Daniel's manipulations, exploiting his weaknesses. The first step was organizing a meeting with trusted team members. In the shadows of the vacant conference room, we strategized, planning how to leverage Daniel's ambitious tendencies against him. People began to believe again. I felt their hope igniting the fire in my own heart. It was not just about me anymore. Finally, the day had come. Armed with evidence amassed from meetings, conversations, and Daniel's own emails, I cradled a folder thick with documents in my hands. It was time to confront him. I walked into his office where he lounged casually in silence, an arrogant smile sewn across his face. "What can I do for you, Sarah?" he asked coolly. My lips tightened as I took a deep breath, steadying myself. "I have evidence proving that the projects you have claimed are yours were stolen from me and mismanaged. I will not be silenced any longer." His eyes narrowed as the tension filled the air. "You are making a mistake." "Do you really think you are in a position to threaten me?" I leaned forward, the adrenaline coursing through my veins. "You think you can use people and walk over them without facing the consequences? I will not back down. The real dead weight in this company is you." I left his office knowing there was no turning back now. I sent the documentation to the board, laying bare Daniel's manipulations, the twisting of truths, and the exploitation of my efforts. I expected fierce pushback, but nothing could prepare me for the wave of reactions cascading through Wilkins. It was explosive. As my colleagues began to rally around me, some even coming forward to share their own grievances, Daniel found himself cornered. The board called for a meeting. It was brutal for him, seeing him squirm as the truth came to light. In front of everyone, his facade cracked. "You are just a disgruntled employee trying to save your job," he retorted. But his bravado felt empty. Julia watched as the chaos unfolded, her mouth agape. The shock in her eyes mingled with fear as she realized that the very person she had aligned herself with was on the verge of ruin. The board decided to terminate Daniel Cross immediately. It felt surreal watching him stagger out of the office, stripped of the power he abused, the smugness wiped from his face. As he passed, his eyes did not meet mine. I took no pleasure in his downfall, but a weight had lifted from my shoulders. What I wanted was not personal victory, but justice. My heart ached wondering about the future of my friendship with Julia. She approached me, a myriad of emotions playing across her face. "I didn't know, Sarah, I should have seen it." She sounded remorseful, and I wanted to see the depth of our friendship prevail, but trust feels shattered when immersed in betrayal. "I needed you to stand by me, Julia," I replied, my voice steadier than my heart. "I felt you chose him over me." We both stood silent for a moment. A new normal was dawning, but the fissures inside our bond remained. Over time, Julia and I slowly mended, finding a path to healing. Yet there would always linger an unspoken truth between us, an echo of the hurt that separated us for so long. I reclaimed my position at Wilkins and fostered an authority built on respect and collaboration. Every day felt like a subtle triumph. I learned that true strength lies not in vengeance, but in standing firm for your worth. But life has a way of weaving surprising outcomes. As I settled into my new role, I discovered a series of confidential emails tucked away in my inbox, meant for Daniel, outlining plans that hinted at deeper ramifications. It was more than just office politics. It was the exploitation of our employees. I noted the names involved. Another battle loomed on the horizon, not just for me, but for all of us at Wilkins. I realized my journey for justice was far from over. The air was thick with the potential of more revelations, leading me to own ambition. I was no longer the victim. I would rise again, with people united behind me, not for revenge but for genuine redemption, empowered to reshape Wilkins & Co. as a place of integrity, a landscape where ambition thrives on honesty, and friends are cherished rather than sacrificed.